All right, welcome back to the channel. So Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury fight decision is expected to come out soon, according to Mike Coppinger. And there's a whole bunch of fans hoping that the judge is corrupt. Man, if that ain't boxing for you, I don't know what is. But let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back. Welcome back. I hope that you guys have had a pleasant day up until this point. First video I've done in the channel in about 2 weeks, I guess. So we're back up and rolling. Mike Coppinger has reported that the Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury arbitration, I guess I shouldn't say versus, but the Deontay Wilder Tyson Fury arbitration, that decision should be coming down pretty soon. And Bob Arum, on top of that, said that he believes that the Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury fight is going to be set for August. So let's talk about that first and foremost. A little bit of explanation about what that means. Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury had an agreement to fight a third fight, and Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder were unable to do so, and as a result, Tyson Fury claimed that the contract for the fight had expired, and as a result, he could just move on and go fight anybody else. He also said that the reason he didn't want to fight Deontay Wilder is that Deontay Wilder attacked his character and made him look bad, and as a result, he didn't want to have the fight anymore, right? So that is the high-level stuff coming from, at least from the viewpoint of Bob Arum and Top Rank and Tyson Fury. What pretty much happened, though, is that Deontay Wilder caught Tyson Fury cheating, and he called Tyson Fury out on the cheating, and in my opinion, that is what led Tyson Fury to saying that he didn't want to have that fight. Now, also, the fact that Bob Arum, there's a couple of things I want to talk about before I get into that, though. Bob Arum saying now that this fight is supposed to be for August really strikes me as very, very funny, because he is actually talking about and acting as if the decision for the arbitrator has already been made. And I'm not 100% sure that, Bob Arum is somebody that you should really trust in that regard. So, I'm not 100% sure about when the date that this arbitration thing is supposed to be found. But if you listen to Mike Coppinger and some of the things that Mike Coppinger said after he announced that the fight was supposed to be, that this announcement was going to come, he started, at least this is with the sources that I had, talking about the fact that it was Tyson, that it was about the facts all pretty much supporting Deontay Wilder. Now, I believe that first of all, Deontay Wilder deserves that fight with Tyson Fury because he agreed to it. Second of all, he deserves that fight because Tyson Fury and Bob Arum were the ones that had originally pulled out of the fight. Bob Arum, if you go, and it's like, with Bob Arum, you just got to really just check every single solitary one of the things that he said against the last thing that he said. And you eventually, when you put that whole collage of nonsense together, you can get a pretty clear picture. And what happened, at least from the outside looking in and having talked to Deontay Wilder's camp, was that Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury were supposed to have that fight. The original date, I think, that they were supposed to have it by was like October 3rd. ESPN and Top Rank, who were the ones that were supposed to be putting on the fight, said that they could not have the fight in October. They couldn't have it in December. They wanted to push it until February, which would have been last February, a few months ago. And it was Tyson Fury's team and Bob Arum's team and Bob Arum that pushed that fight back and said that they could, because it was their network that was responsible for putting up the money. And they were the ones that were going to do the pay-per-view. I think it also was going to be a co-thing with the PBC over on Fox. But pretty much since Tyson Fury won that fight, the onus was on Bob Arum and those guys to arrange the fight. And I think that they had also negotiated a purse for a 60-40 purse split. So it was ESPN that pulled out of that fight, not Deontay Wilder. And as a result, I can't see why in the world a judge would say, oh, yeah, let me side with Tyson Fury, a guy that number one, cheated. Number two, signed an agreement, and he was the one that pulled out of the agreement. Deontay Wilder wasn't the one that pulled out of the agreement, and it was very reasonable to understand why the networks didn't want to do it at the time, because it was in the middle of a pandemic, right? But does that stop boxing fans from wanting to just side with Tyson Fury for any old stupid reason? So what is the hope that these guys have for Tyson Fury and Tyson Fury not having to take this fight? If you read the comments that are in these comment sections go around the internet, what you'll hear is people are just saying, well, we know that the facts might actually fit, being the advantage of Deontay Wilder, but you never know. This could be a corrupt judge. This judge could have been bribed. This judge could be under pressure from Bob Arum, right? All of those type of things. So now that's very, 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 it's a chance that could happen. I don't know why a judge with a legitimate reputation and somebody that wants to do other arbitrations other than somebody giving him a ton of cash to do it, I don't see why in the world why he would just override the clear and obvious facts that Deontay Wilder will most definitely suffer irreparable harm if he is not allowed to have that chance to get his title back, and that is something that Tyson Fury just promised. But we'll see what happens with the judge. I find it very hard to believe that judge is going to do that. Very hard, from a lot of reasons. I don't believe he's going to do it. A lot of reasons that are involved inside the ring, and a lot of in the courtroom, and a lot of things that are outside the courtroom. That is a lot of money to be stealing from Deontay Wilder. I mean, and if the judge was to rule that way, and because the only way that I could see that the judge would do that is nothing but blatant corruption. And in the case that blatant, and I wouldn't put it past Bob Arum to try to stick a ringer in there that is going to do, at the end of the day, just do what he says. I mean, that's not impossible. However, that judge has a reputation. That judge wants to have a life after this decision is made. And the fact that this thing has been so huge and in the media, it may not be huge in the mainstream media, but it is huge in the boxing circles. Everybody knows about it. Everybody has seen the films of this guy cheating. If this guy winds up just doing something that is that blatantly corrupt, that's not good for his reputation. That's not good for him. That's not good for the legacy that he had as a judge that, from my understanding, was a good one, right? So just all around, man, it's this thing with Deontay Wilder, what is right is right. Tyson Fury agreed to, first of all, Deontay Wilder gave that dude a chance to fight for that championship the first time when he didn't have to, and Tyson Fury cheated that time. The second time comes around, Tyson Fury cheats even worse, and this time he wants to duck out. He actually ducked out the first time and went and fought two other people. He was supposed to have that fight and have a rematch, and those guys could have been done. But Tyson Fury stretched that out all as far as he could. But at the end of the day, man, we'll see what's going to happen. I certainly want to see Deontay Wilder get what Deontay Wilder wants to get out of it, and there's really no way Tyson Fury is gonna duck Deontay Wilder at the end of it anyway. Because if Tyson Fury did fight Anthony Joshua, and I don't believe that he would, because I don't think Anthony Joshua is going to fight Tyson Fury. I think that's a bunch of mess that's getting slung around by Eddie Hearn. But there's no guarantee. First of all, there's no guarantee that Anthony Joshua is going to fight Tyson Fury, and there's no guarantee that Tyson Fury is going to beat Anthony Joshua. But if he was able to get the fight and beat Anthony Joshua, who's he going to fight after that? He's going to have to fight Deontay Wilder. So you might as well get it done right away and not look like a coward doing it and delay. But anyway, it is what it is. That's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think. And with that, I'm out. Peace.